Welcome back to Melanie Loves Death Metal. Happy Friday. I got a huge stack of CDs in the mail this week that I want to talk about and show off. And I'm also going to do sound clips for every single one of these. So this is going to be a long video because some of these things I'm showing off other things that I've had in my collection for a while just to talk about them. But there's Duke. He's sleeping. Little Dukers. You'll probably hear Dolly barking in the background. She's not in the room with me right now because she's on some shit this morning and keeps barking at everything. But anyway, so Doomed to Obscurity Records. I've talked about them 1,000 times on here. Not 1,000, but several times. I dedicated a whole video to them a while back when David sent me a care package from them. And I recently went, actually a couple days ago, so this came really quick, so thank you for that. And decided to buy some more because I realized they've put out some stuff that I've always wanted in my collection. I've never been able to get because it's been a little bit, tough to find, or they just haven't been pressed on CD and stuff like that. So that's the whole point of the record label, is to press like underground gems that are out of print or I've never been printed on CD and stuff like that too. So a while back, he sent me a package that had umbilical strangulation. It had the Dethroned demo. It had a Disgorged demo. There was a Skeletal Remains CD, which I didn't pull off. Did I pull anything else out here? I don't know. I have a huge stack of CDs here that I have been listening to, and I just haven't put them back on my shelf. But yeah, he sent me a bunch of, like a care package of a bunch of releases that he had already put out. And after that, I instantly became obsessed because these are the types of things that I want in my collection, that I'm always continuing to hunt and try and find. And you can pretty much listen to just about any of these on YouTube. A lot of it is on streaming, but not all of it. And you can almost guarantee that when you search it, Ken's Death Metal Crypt archive is going to come up because he uploaded them a while back. So as you know, his channel is gone, but a couple of guys archived all of his videos and then re-uploaded all of the demos and stuff onto YouTube, which has been awesome because a lot of that stuff, again, is not on streaming services and it's hard to find and stuff like that. And so David over at Doomed to Obscurity is now doing the Death Metal Lord's work and putting these onto physical media, which has been fun to sit on the Bandcamp and listen and decide what I wanted to get. So of course I bought a bunch of stuff. So we're going to talk about that today. So first up is this one. I recently got this one within that package. I had this one previously that he sent me. So this is Disgorge out of Sweden, not out of Mexico, not the brutal death metal band Disgorge, although this is a brutal death metal band, but this is Disgorge out of Sweden. This is their only two demos that they've ever released. Espouso Bleeding, which I've had for a while now, and I showed this off in another video. Fantastic demo from 1994. But I recently went and I bought the second demo, Strangled, from 1995. And admittedly, this one edged just a tiny bit. I think I probably like this one just a tiny bit. And maybe that's because I've just been listening to it a ton lately. But this is also very good. They don't stray too far away from their sound in this. It is slightly different, but still very good. Both very good demos. This is like super old school, gritty sounding brutal death metal, but not in the vein of like what you're used to hearing in like modern brutal death metal. Not at all. Definitely loads of that old school 90s death metal in here, but there's that brutality to it that, makes it the brutal death metal side. But it is nothing like you would hear now with modern brutal death metal. This has got that old, obviously it's got that old 90s because that's where it's from. So very, very good demos. So I'll put some snippets of songs from each, but I figured I would show this off again because I had bought this one. These are both still available. I will link everything in the description of where you can go buy these. And due to the copyright stuff on YouTube, I don't know what is licensed that will give me a copyright strike. So I'm going to do small snippets. I know some of this stuff probably is not licensed, it's licensed, but it's not like a license strike if you play it on here. There's ways to find out. But I just feel like going and trying to figure it out. So guaranteed one of these albums will give me a copyright strike because it's probably in the algorithm to not play more than 30 seconds of the snippet. So I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to put a tiny snippet. But as always, I put everything in the description so you can go and listen to it yourself. So yeah, Disgorge, Sweden, awesome. I love these demos. Two gems that I've been playing a lot lately. So next is maybe, I'm assuming, I feel like this one might be, and then probably another one that I have in here are going to be relatively familiar. You probably, your other YouTubers have probably already showed these off or talked about them at least some point in their YouTube career, or you maybe have seen them on in social media and stuff or whatever. I know Kyle recently showed off. Kyle from Dr. Messick's channel. I think he recently showed this off fairly because this was an anniversary of April, I believe. Did this come out in April? Let's see. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It was in April. Anyway, he showed it off. So you probably already know Disgorge. So that's probably a little bit more familiar. But this next one you might not be as familiar with. This one I actually recognized. I recognized the logo, and I was like, wait a minute. I know who that band is. I have not heard that in a really long time. There's been several times where I've actually, like, this has been in my algorithm on YouTube where it suggests me to listen to this demo and this EP. And that's exactly what it was. And this is Disordered. This is a band from the US. This is like a brutal death metal / grind band. So a brutal death metal grind from the 90s. And this is actually a split release with Burning Dogma Records. So that makes quite a bit of sense here. So yeah, I did not know that this was released. I don't know how this evaded me, but this actually came out back in 2023, probably because I maybe wasn't really diving into like little gems and stuff like that. I was buying mostly new music. But anyway, yeah, this is the Exhuming Postmortem Hymns of Evisceration compilation, and it has the Within the Mind of Mortician demo from 1994, and then it has a Disfigured Corpse demo from 1996. So this is a compilation of both of their demos. This is pretty filthy. I think it originally came out on Slaughterhouse Records back then. The band has one full-length album, Documentaries of Disgust. I actually don't own that, but I'm going to go back and listen to it today and see. But yeah, so I listened to this. I loved it. Admittedly, was not as familiar with this band as I thought it was, but I recognized that logo. That logo is very distinguished. But so yeah, I'm not taking the CD out of the trade because the image behind it is pretty brutal, pretty rough, and that will definitely get me in trouble on YouTube. Barry from YouTube commented a couple of days ago saying that they've been really cracking down on that stuff lately. So yeah, but it has a really nice booklet here, a little collage, and then inside it has pretty much talks about the demos and all that stuff. So nice little like interview / liner notes stuff, so like that. So yeah, Again, not going to show you underneath the CD tray, but this is really good. If you are into that like old school brutal death metal with that like really just filthy grindcore element to it, I mean, this is right up your alley. Like if you like things like Disgorge from Mexico, like I just, and that kind of stuff, like you'll really, really enjoy this. This is probably the more grotesque CD that I'm going to show today. But yeah, phenomenal. Again, I'll link in the description for the Bandcamp of where you can go listen to this. It's still available. Great stuff for all of you disgusting death grind fans. There, like, is that a brain? Yeah, that's a brain. That is a brain. But yeah, the picture in here underneath the CD tray, no, I cannot show that. So yeah, Disordered, check this out. Okay, the next one is one that I've actually had on my want list on Discogs for a very long time. This popped up in my YouTube like suggestion to listen to, and there are so many like PR channels on YouTube for death metal like that promote death metal like newer albums, and then they also upload like the old demos and stuff like that. Again, Ken's Death Metal Crypt was one of them. I think it was either Ken or like Death Metal Madness or whatever that channel was circulating in my like, you should check this out, and it was Gore Stench. Stench of the Dead. This is a band from France. It's a brutal death metal band from France, and this came out in 1999. So we're getting, we're at the end of the 90s here, but this is still very, very good. And I recognized, when I went onto the Bandcamp, I recognized, again, the logo, and I was like, wait a minute, I've listened to that several times on YouTube before. I'm going to buy that. So yeah, this was fun to go back to and listen to, because it had been a while since I heard it. So as soon as I recognized what this was, I snagged it. This is very, very good. Again, that more old school brutal death metal sound. If you love that, you'll really, really enjoy this. Got a little bit of a unique sound to it. Again, they're from France, which I feel like is not something that you hear very often. This is truly a gem that I don't think many people will know about, or maybe have completely forgotten about if they were back in the scene, back then in the 90s. But yeah, I saw something on here that made me feel like one of the members was in another band that I was familiar with. Death Rot? Maybe that's what it was. Damn's the vocalist. But yeah, I recognized the name and I was wondering, but yeah, pretty cool stuff. I like just the simple booklet of the lyrics, and then here's the band and the credits for this pressing. Phenomenal stuff. My case came a little jacked up because the post office sees that you have CDs and they're like, oh, these are CDs, and they just throw it to the ground. I'm convinced that's what they do.
Oh my God. Disturbing cell phone video shows packages flying out of the United States.
And then here's the CD and then the back. So Gore Stench, again, another gem. This is phenomenal, and I'm super pumped that I have this now. As soon as I got this package this week, this was actually one of the first ones that I played, because I've been listening to the download on Bandcamp, because that's what you get when you buy these things through Bandcamp. It gets added to your library, so I've been streaming it, but now that I have the physical copy of it, I'm super happy. So yeah, check this out. Again, links will be in the description. The next one, and this is the final one that I got from Doom to Obscurity in this package, immediately was the one that I was maybe the most happy about, or maybe the most excited about. Again, another brutal death metal band. This is one that I was super familiar with, one that I didn't think I would ever be able to get in my collection. Another YouTube thing that would pop up and suggest that I listen to it. And yeah, also has Chris from Wicked Innocence in it, who used to be in Wicked Innocence. So this is Carninal Decimate. This is a band out of Utah, brutal death metal band. The only thing that they've pressed, their demo from 1995. This one came in a nice little sleeve, which I'll keep it because I don't mind that the CDs do that. The only thing they put out, but this is phenomenal. It's a very quick listen. There we go. And it's just one pager here. So it looks like David did the cover art and logo on here, and also the layout and design. So he not only does he have these pressed, he does all of that kind of stuff for most of these releases, if not all of them. He also does the remastering. So this guy's a talented guy working hard for these reissues. This was actually limited to 300 copies, and I got 286. There you go. And yeah, I mean, as you can see, it's just a 1-2 punch, 2 tracks. Normally, for 2 tracks like this, I would buy a CD or a tape, so I was happy that this was available. This was one that I was probably most excited about when I saw that it was on there. Really, really good stuff. Very, got a little bit more of obscure sound to it. Just heavy as hell, that grittier 90s demo style, obviously. Because that's what it is. It's a demo from 1985, but so good. And again, it's only got 2 tracks on here, and they're relatively they're shorter songs, but Destruction, Bleeding, Chaos, and Existence Mutilated, both phenomenal tracks. The original demo tape looks so cool, and I actually put this on my want list on Discogs after I got the CD, because the demo tape is like a red J card, Xerox red J card. And for whatever reason, when I see stuff like that, when it's a different color, I'm like, oh, I nerd out about it. Like, I need that now. So if anybody has this demo on tape, let me know. Both the tracks are repeated on both sides of the tape too. But yeah, it looks like it came out in Sutek Productions, Sutek Productions back in 95, and it was limited to 250 copies. So there's got to be one out there circulating, right? There has to be. Somebody's got to have a version of this on cassette. But for now, I'm happy with the CD. Check this out. This is awesome stuff. This was probably the first one I added to my cart when I saw it. Again, a lot of these releases are things that I've just gotten in my YouTube algorithm. I listen to a lot of death metal channels while I'm working and stuff, and that's how I find old demos that I want in my collection. I don't know them all. I was like 9 or 10 years old, even younger, back when these came out. So there was no way I was in the scene or listening to them. So YouTube has been a big reason why I've been able to know what these are and get them in my collection. So yeah, there we go. Carninal Decimate. Check this out. yes, I did mention that was the last one that I recently bought. But again, like I said, they've got Umbilical Strangulation still available. We've got Dethroned, New York Death Metal. These are two awesome releases also from Doom to Obscurity, so check these out. Ones that I've had for a while now. This one, I feel like, this one I feel like got a resurgence. I've been seeing a lot of people talking about this lately. It was also in this zine that was put out by the Noxious Ruin boys. They talk about Umbilical Strangulation in the zine that I talked about. So yeah, I feel like it's gotten a bit of a resurgence and people are talking about it more and showing it off. So pretty cool. I like to see that. So finally, the last thing that I got in the mail is not a 90s album by any means, but recently got a reissue on cassette tape on Iron Fortress. However, I went with the CD, and that's because I already have their other albums in my collection as on CD, so I just kept the same format. But if you want the cassette tape, and then Anthony over at Metal Miners just talked about this too with the Iron Fortress cassette tape. But this is Gorevent with their album Fate from 2020. So yeah, it's a pretty new album. So this is coming a little bit different from what I was showing off previously. A band out of Japan. It's slamming brutal death metal. And because I got this and was listening to it, I pulled this off the shelf. This is their second full-length, Worship Paganism from 2010. I also have their first album, Abnormal Exaggeration, and then their Worldwide Slamicide, which is a split. I have like a burned copy of just their songs on there. So yeah, one of the like slamming brutal death metal bands that I truly, truly enjoy. It's not like modern slam like what you're used to hearing right now. Definitely way more brutal death metal sounds to it. This album has got a really rawness and grittiness to it. I feel like that's pretty much just what they do well with their catalog. This again has probably been one of my more favorite albums in their collection. But I recently went back and listened to this because I didn't really follow it when it first came out several years ago. And I really, really enjoyed this. So again, they're out of Japan. I feel like Japan just does everything right. Grindcore, brutal death metal. And this is out on Comatose Music. So if you want the CD, it's still available. And then the cassette tape was recently just pressed, I believe, for the first time on cassette by Iron Fortress, and that's still available on their website. So yeah, this is awesome, and I'm glad that I finally went back and listened to it. When Anthony at Metal Miners played a snippet of it the other day on his video, I was like, you know what? I never listened to that album when it came out. I kind of stopped paying attention to this band, which was a band that I had like play quite a bit, especially like I said, this album. You know, I recently pulled this off my shelf before I bought this, and I was like, I'm gonna go listen to it today. So I went on YouTube, I listened to the whole entire album, then I went to Comatose and bought the CD. So yeah, simple little booklet here. Very good stuff. They have a split that they came out with in 2022, and so far they haven't put anything else out since. But yeah, this again, a very more like raw, grittier sounding album, not as like polished and like guitar plug-in sounds like you're used to kind of hearing with these more modern slam bands, which is not necessarily bad, but I prefer the more older school sounding of slam brutal death metal. I feel like there's definitely a lot of slam breakdowns on here, but I feel like it's not to the point of where if you don't like slam, you won't like this album. Definitely the vocal style is that, but again, this is a phenomenal release, and I'm glad that I bought it. So I really like that blue aesthetic on here too. So yeah, Comatose Music, check it out. Great album. that's all that I had for today. 20 minutes of just talking about the albums. Who knows how much it's going to be with all the snippets in here. This is a lot of music to go through and snip it out. Thankfully, I have all the digital downloads for it, so I don't need to go and buy any of that. Check out all this, mostly brutal death metal in this pile. And I realized that while I was making this video, that was not on purpose. But some really great underground gems. Doom to Obscurity Records is so awesome. And there's several other releases that he still has on there that I'm probably going to put another order in a couple of weeks. But so far, I'm happy with this. And yeah, that is all that I have on this Friday. I hope you guys have a great weekend. It is a long weekend here in the U.S. It's Memorial Day on Monday, so people are off of work and in school and stuff. So I'm going to enjoy the weekend, do the cookout thing, do the America thing this weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next one.